Hey everyone, Eric here. In this video, I'm continuing a series on undesigned coincidences in the Old Testament. As a reminder, an undesigned coincidence is a notable connection between two or more accounts or texts that doesn't seem to have been planned by the person or people giving the accounts. Despite their apparent independence, the items fit together like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. An undesigned coincidence provides reason to believe that all of the statements that contribute to it are truthful. Often the undesigned coincidence can lay between two different accounts, but sometimes the details lie within a single book. In such circumstances, it's necessary for the connection between the details to be sufficiently obscure to render the details independent from one another. That's going to be the case in this example found in 2 Samuel, and for this coincidence I'm drawing from a book written by a 19th century Anglican priest and scholar named J.J. Blunt, and at the end of the video I'll tell you how to get a copy of this book for absolutely free. Now I'm going to warn you ahead of time, this story is rather grim. However, it does bear the ring of truth. 2 Samuel 15 details the story of King David's rebellious son Absalom conspiring against him in an attempt to usurp his father's throne. And in the middle of the chapter, Absalom summons one of David's trusted allies. It reads, "While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, to come from Gilo, his hometown, and so the conspiracy gained strength, and Absalom's following kept on increasing." We learn about just who exactly Ahithophel was in 2 Samuel 16:23, which reads, "Now in those days the advice of Ahithophel gave was like that of one who inquires of God." That was how David and Absalom regarded all of Ahithophel's advice. So it turns out that Ahithophel was one of King David's most trusted advisors and friends. So why exactly was Absalom so quick to count on Ahithophel to help him betray King David? Well, we find out in a totally unrelated part of the text. 2 Samuel 23 gives us an important clue. Verses 24 through 39 list 37 of King David's bodyguards. In verse 39, we come across a very familiar name, Uriah the Hittite, the husband of Bathsheba. Another guard is mentioned named Eliam, the son of Ahithophel the Gilonite. That means Ahithophel's son Eliam worked together with Uriah the Hittite, perhaps they were even friends. However, things really connect when we look over at 2 Samuel 11. This is the famous story where David commits adultery with Bathsheba and has Uriah murdered. Let's read the passage. It says in verses 2 through 3, "It happened late one afternoon when David arose from his couch and was walking on the roof of the king's house, that he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. And David sent and inquired about the woman, and one said, 'Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?' So not only did Eliam work with Uriah, but he was Bathsheba's dad. That would make Bathsheba Ahithophel's granddaughter. Yikes. Now we can totally understand why Absalom expected Ahithophel to switch teams and join Absalom's rebellion in 2 Samuel 15. It was payback time for what David did to Bathsheba and Uriah. But there's more to this undesigned coincidence, and I'm warning you, this story is not very family friendly and is rather messed up. So let's go ahead and read 2 Samuel 16:20 through 22. It says, "Absalom said to Ahithophel, 'Give us your advice, what should we do?' Ahithophel answered, 'Sleep with your father's concubines, whom he left to take care of the palace. Then all Israel will hear that you have made yourself obnoxious to your father, and the hands of everyone with you will be more resolute.' So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and he slept with his father's concubines in all the sight of Israel." Yikes, talk about an eye for an eye. It was on the roof that David saw Bathsheba bathing. This led to the adultery with Bathsheba and the murder of Uriah. And so Ahithophel counsels Absalom to pitch a tent on the roof and ravage his father's concubines. Notice that nowhere in the books of Samuel, Chronicles, or anywhere in the Bible for that matter, is it specifically stated that Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather. Rather, one needs to do some rather serious sleuthing to discover what's happening here. This subtle kind of congruity between these passages that are scattered around in 2 Samuel might easily escape the notice of the reader. The fact that we have to dig around to recognize these details is evidence of it being a genuine coincidence. It would be very difficult for an author to fake such a coincidence and then just tuck it away. And if the writer was clever enough to think up of an undesigned coincidence and were able to insert such a thing in the text, it would be absolutely no benefit to them if the coincidence wasn't discovered for generations. There would be a very great temptation for the writer to draw attention to the coincidence. That kind of attention drawing is what we would expect from somebody writing fiction or a forger. Also, a fiction writer might shy away from very difficult and embarrassing details such as these mentioned about the hero of the story, King David. These are admittedly very difficult texts, and yet the author didn't shy away from reporting even the most grim and ugly details. There are over 60 undesigned coincidences just in the Old Testament in Blunt's book, and I will link it in the description down below. It's public domain, therefore it's 100% free and well worth your time. It's in the Google Play Store, and you can read it on any device. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing.